Even before Bram Stoker used the real-life Bran Castle in Romania as inspiration for the home of Count Dracula, Transylvania has been synonymous with supernatural occurrences. However, these trees hide something much more terrifying than an imaginary vampire. In this area of Romania is the location of a forest well known to be haunted, or perhaps worse. But what exactly happens in these strange woods to give it this title? And what frightening accounts of unexplained paranormal activity and strange occurrences even have scientists baffled? Welcome to the most haunted forest in the world, Hoia Baciu. This place, known also as the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania, is avoided by the locals, and for good reason. Its name is linked to the disappearance of a farmer and his flock of 200 sheep that went into the woods and never came out. No sign of the farmer or any of the sheep has ever been discovered. They all simply vanished. But how did 200 sheep just disappear into thin air? To this day, nobody knows. And they're not the only ones who have gone missing in this unusual forest. A legend tells of a 5-year-old girl who went to play among the trees, and just like the farmer, vanished. A search was launched for days to find her, but to no avail. Eventually, they had no choice but to give up the search and mourn her loss. But after 5 years, she incredibly reappeared, alive despite the freezing Romanian winters. However, there was something very strange. She seemed completely unchanged in every way, frozen in time, and was even still wearing the same clothes she'd had on when she went missing. She should have grown from 5 years old to 10 years old, which is a very big change, but nothing had happened. Plus, she had no memory of what happened to her. Since then, locals have claimed several people have gone missing in the forest, and no evidence of their presence has ever been found. There are also some very unusual natural phenomena in this forest. Scientists are fascinated by two things they simply can't explain that are found in the Hoia Baciu. The first phenomenon is the trees. Normally, there's nothing odd about a tree in a forest, but these trees are unique. Across large areas of these woods, every tree in the forest has grown into a zigzag or spiral pattern and only twists in a clockwise direction. This is just as abnormal as it sounds, as researchers have done multiple investigations to try to explain this weird phenomenon, with no success. But this isn't the only strange behavior exhibited here. The other phenomenon has become known as the clearing. This spot, deep in the Hoia Baciu woods, is an oval-shaped area where the trees refuse to grow. Like the other investigations in this forest, scientists have been visiting the area to try to determine the reason why no trees grow here. Soil samples have been collected to check if there may be something about the ground there, but all tests have come back saying the soil is completely normal. There's simply no scientific explanation for why the trees would avoid growing in such a uniform shape in just one spot of the woods. But a lack of an answer supported by modern science doesn't mean there's no explanation of the paranormal kind. The Hoia Baciu forest first started to gain real attention in 1968, when a man named Emil Barnea caught something heart-stopping on camera. He claimed the image clearly showed a UFO hovering directly over the clearing. Often, it's easy to dismiss UFO sightings as hoaxes staged to gain attention. Unlike the American hoaxers who are assured 15 minutes of fame, Barnea had nothing to gain and everything to lose by making this claim. At the time, Emil went public with the photograph. Romania's communist government made it clear that any claims of paranormal sightings were a sure sign of madness in the person making them. It was legally considered an act of state sabotage, and while Emil worked for the government as a military technician, he knew going public with his UFO photograph would guarantee he'd be fired and that it would be incredibly difficult to get another job. He'd receive no financial help from any charities or government entities, so we're left with only one conclusion. He must have believed that telling people about what he saw was more important than his own well-being. To this day, some claim that the trees don't grow in the clearing because it's so often used as a UFO landing site. Alien activity appears to be common in the skies above the Hoia Baciu, and there are frequent sightings of UFOs and strange flashing lights from within the depths of the forest. Could this be the explanation for all the disappearances and the girl who reappeared years later as though she'd only been gone a few hours? Maybe. But some say there's a different reason for all the mysterious events happening in the forest. Potential spaceship sightings are far from the only weird thing that visitors have witnessed in the Hoia Baciu. All kinds of terrifying phenomena happen in the forest as well. On the mild side, visitors often report feeling faint or suddenly exhausted, agitated, anxious, or like they're being watched. That feeling of being watched may be more accurate than they'd want to believe. Countless people say that when they look back over photographs they've taken in the forest, there are clear images of human-like figures standing in full view, or faces peeking out from behind the trees. Some say these are the spirits of all the people who have disappeared in the woods. Others claim at least some of those figures aren't human at all. One commonly seen ghost appears in traditional Romanian clothing, which may suggest that the mysteries of the forest go back further than we think. More frightening physical symptoms are often reported by those brave enough to walk through the woods, like sudden migraines, nausea, dizziness, rashes that spread across the entire body, burns that appear out of nowhere, and mysterious scratches. Many have also said that it's quite easy to lose track of time. It's also common knowledge in the nearby city that cell phones and other electronics stop working in specific spots in the forest, especially at the clearing. And while some lights seen in the area appear to be attached to UFOs, other lights are far more fluid and organic. People describe these unusual glowing objects as ectoplasm, with some being large, while others are tiny and appear to dance around the edges of the forest. Nobody has identified what they might be, but it's clear that something unnatural is going on in the forest. Again, even scientists are perplexed. They acknowledge something weird is definitely happening in the woods here, and they've researched everything, including looking for unusual magnetic fields or radioactivity. But they've found nothing to explain the unusual phenomena in the Hoia Baciu. But this has only led some locals to believe the clearing is used for something else, which, if true, could help explain the disappearance of the shepherd and his 200 sheep, as well as the little girl who walked out of the forest 5 years later, completely unchanged from when she went in. Something must have happened to her, and to other people who also have disappeared without a trace. But what could explain why so many people report losing track of time in the forest, or a feeling like time moves differently? And, if that's true, where do all the missing people go? While some insist the clearing is the location of a portal to another universe, others will tell you that the experience sounds a lot more like time travel. The Hoia Baciu forest in Transylvania is far more frightening than any vampiric legend. People vanishing, weird physical symptoms, mysterious lights, and UFO sightings are so common that even locals are too scared to set foot in the forest. Only tourists and researchers are crazy enough to walk through this eerie, wooded area. Unfortunately, the forest hasn't given up any of its secrets to those searching for answers. It's possible that only the trees with their clockwise twisted branches know the real secret, and even they don't dare enter the clearing. What do you think is really going on in the Hoia Baciu forest? Would you be brave enough to visit, or have you ever visited this haunted forest? Let us know in the comments and click here to watch a previous terrifying video.